진짜 보지 말라고 했죠.
마소 진행해도 괜찮을까요?
Oh my God. You guys, why is no one talking about this Korean BL? It is outrageous. And I love it.
Call me a fan, call me a queen. I'm watching BLs on every screen.
I'm a BL baby, I stay on screen. Japan, Korea, China, Thailand's the king. Boys love drama, give me that scene. Living my life in a BL dream.
Okay, this BL is not what you'd expect. Therapy is something else. Hey Lunatics, welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to talk about the very unusual BL series called Therapy. It is a Korean BL, and a lot of times what Korea puts out for boys love content is not usually that great. It may be corny, fluffy, not very hot, because maybe some of the actual actors are not that into it, so it doesn't come off real enough, and all types of stuff. They're just not as good as the other BLs from other Asian countries. But they're starting to get better. They're starting to put some really spicy ones out there with better stories. And this one is coming from GagaOOLala or GagaOOLala. Anyways, so I say it's not your unusual or not your fluffy campus romance, not your jealous boyfriend trope, and definitely not your typical BL. Child.
아니 남자랑 못해줘. 진짜 보지 말라고 했죠.
This is a short psychological series that feels more like an art film, most definitely, than a traditional drama. It's symbolic, emotionally distant, and at times, honestly, a little unsettling, but totally hot. Also, it's fascinating. Now, before we get into it, just a heads up, this review may contain some spoilers because this series is short and very layered, so it's almost impossible to discuss it without talking about the symbolisms and the structure and, let's face it, the hot segs, okay? Anyways, at its core, therapy revolves around two main characters. You have the client and the therapist. But this is not therapy in a way most people would expect. So the relationship between these two men is strictly transactional from the very beginning. The first thing we see is a contract being signed, which immediately sets the tone. This isn't a romance that develops naturally. It's an arrangement with clearly defined boundaries. The therapist is calm, controlled, and emotionally distant. And when I say emotionally distant, he really is. When I went on TikTok, because on TikTok they are talking about it kinda in a, slick kind of way, because they don't want to get, busted by TikTok. But if you look at a lot of the comments, a lot of people complain about the therapist being very cold or no emotions, and You do see that in the very last episode. So, spoiler! You will see the emotions. However, that's because the client requested that. Anyways, his actions are precise and almost clinical. And I guess they would have to be because he is the therapist. Everything about him feels intentional. And it is. Then you have the client. He's the opposite. He's searching for something deeper, something emotional, but he's trying to access that connection through his structured system. What would that be? His structured system? I guess in this show, he is a heterosexual man. He was expecting a female therapist. And what he got was this man showing up at his door. So right away, the series establishes a power dynamic that feels very different from typical BL storytelling, which I found very refreshing. One thing I immediately noticed while watching this series is how deliberate every detail feels. Nothing seems random. Every scene, every movement, every piece of dialogue feels carefully constructed. Now, I have to be honest with you all. When I first watched this series, I didn't have English subtitles available. So I literally paused throughout the episodes and translated the dialogue line by line so I could understand the full context. The second time I watched it, I was able to access the English subtitles. And after doing that, I realized something important. This show is very much about psychology and symbolism, not just surface level storytelling. And honestly, you really don't need the subtitles because it is mostly just hot. Even pornographic type segs. Anyways, sorry I have to talk this way, but this is YouTube, which is Google, and it reads your transcripts. But anyways, let's move on. One of the most interesting creative choices in therapy is the use of the different colored rooms, which you'll notice as you watch it, if you decide to watch it during the sessions. If you've already seen it, and I'm sure you might have. So each room represents a different emotional and psychological stage in a relationship between the two characters. So let's break them down. First, the black room. The black room symbolizes raw desire. The atmosphere is dark, intense, and almost primal. The interaction here feels purely physical, like the client is trying to satisfy a basic urge rather than searching for connection. It's very stripped down emotionally. Next is that white room. The white room feels completely different. White traditionally represents clinical detachment, and that's exactly what happens here. Everything about the interaction feels mechanical. It's almost like watching a medical procedure rather than an emotional exchange. This is where the therapy aspect becomes very literal. Then we move to the purple and the pink room. And this is where things start shifting. And you'll definitely notice that at the end of episode 3, or towards the end. And definitely the shift in episode 4. The purple and pink tones are often associated with romance, vulnerability, and emotional intimacy, which makes sense. Suddenly, the client isn't just seeking physical closeness anymore. He's beginning to want deeper and deeper connection. He wants emotional connection through the physical intimacy. But the therapist stays distant. That tension becomes the driving force for the story. Interestingly, the moment with the strongest tension in the entire series. Let me be very frank. If you like BL, then you will love this BL if you like it nasty, if you like it dirty, and with a little emotion, affection, love as it grows. Like I said, it starts out primal, then clinical, and then it becomes more emotional. There's a growing attachment, especially from this guy right here, because I have a crush on him.
아, 저 물이라도
He's good looking
될까요?
too.
집에 뭐가 없어가지고.
Anyways,
괜찮습니다.
take the time to
감사합니다.
watch it if you haven't. I think you'll enjoy it. If you have some issues getting, aroused personally, trust me, ladies, heterosexual, bisexual, or even if you're a lesbian, you will probably have no problem. Oops! Next video, we have to talk about this craziness by the same director.
I'm a BL babe, I stay on screen, Japan, Korea, China, Thailand's the king. Boys love drama, give me that scene, living my life in a BL dream.